Oh, yeah, This is Between Hooksets. I'm Chasen Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Kurt Underhill from the Fishing Crew.
What is up, Hooksets?
I was gonna get a little dizzy there. Your camera just kind of went loop, and
we had it all set up in the trailer, and I had to rush and set everything up in the house, and because the trailer had to go get some minor tweaks done to it because we never used it before, so we had to get some minor tweaks done to the new trailer. So I was planning on being in there tonight, but I'm in the house for one more week, and hopefully get it back and be ready to go next week. But now I got like a camera on a stand, and I move my foot and hit the stand, but it wasn't like you didn't have to out me there, dude.
It just caught me funny because anymore, after riding Uncle Lou, how do you do? After riding the tilt-a-whirl with Cade when he was little, any type of movement, or remember when I came back from the St. Paul Ice Show a couple of years ago and had this vertigo thingy, whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
You know, boy, I'll tell you what, if I do any head banging, I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm out. Oh, by the way, hello. You know, I don't think we're going to get them every week, but we sure have been lucky. Another participation award for the most awarded walleye fishing podcast. Yay. Between Hooksets. So
most participation awards. The guys tonight did not get a participation award.
No, they got the real thing.
They got the real thing. So we'll bring on the Eimer boys and hear their story. How are we doing tonight, guys?
Good.
Fellas.
So Glenn and Coledon Eimers father-son team ended up winning our Cedar Shore event with 30.34 for 10 fish. But Glenn, you've been doing this a long time. I've known you for 15 plus years fishing tournaments. Coledon, you've been guiding for a while, I guess. But before I get into your story, Glenn, why don't you start with like who you are, where you're from, and how you got into fishing?
Oh, I live in Kimball, grew up in Chamberlain. Started guiding 22 years ago. But I started doing tournaments a little bit before that. I've done every Cedar Shore tournament they ever did back when they started the fall. They used to do it a 2-day fall tournament. Beginning October, late September. It was a lot of fun. They just could not ever fill it. So that's why they switched it over to the springtime. And then your dad came on, Kurt, and helped with it. You know, with Angela Bosworth used to run the tournament, and it was the fall tournament was a lot of fun, but it was just guys was the hardcore fishermen, really. A lot of guys because the weather was always a little fickle and cold and windy. But I don't know.
Wait. Oh, don't time out. It's fickle in April too. And a litlittle cold.
Well, it is.
A little bit of a bitch.
Fall, they're starting to look for shotguns and head to the field, you know. More.
That's what I was going to say. A lot of the guys, the competitors are tournament or guides, or
right.
They do a lot of hunting and they do a lot of guiding that time of year. So I've learned that past August, like school gets back into a swing, we might as well be done. We just lose anglers.
You do. It's a fun time to fish, but it's just hard to fill a format like this.
Yeah, and you can look by your background, like come hunting season, you guys put the boats away and look like you go after the big game. And
mid-September, I plug my boat in and I don't look at it till hunting season's over. We go from
so
next.
You've been fishing since the beginning. You've won this thing. I asked you on stage. You said you won it once, but you've actually won it twice, correct?
Well, yeah, won the original fall one once with David Beese, and then you and your dad used to piggyback it on the backside of Cedar Shore. We zeroed on day one with the Cedar Shore. We ended up coming back and winning with Dave London on that tournament. The two guys I used to fish with a lot won that one. We actually caught like almost 22 pounds. Got lucky and got a couple big bites that day, and So yeah, you could say I probably won it 3 times.
Three times.
How do you like the 2-day format?
What's that? I like it.
Like the 2-day format?
The first one we won was a 2-day format too.
Okay.
I like the 2-day format. Yeah, sure. When you're leading on a day one, you're wishing it was a 1-dayer, but fortunately we caught some fish on day 2 and made it work. But I like it. It takes the lucky fish out of the equation, and you just got to be able to make it work. I really like it. Some people don't. Some people want to go home on Sundays, so it's probably more of a battle for you, Kurt, as far as
it's a battle. I know, when I took it over in 21, everybody's like, not everybody. I get all these chirpers, go 2-day, go 2-day, go 2-day. And I'm like, guys, I'm not changing a thing right away. Like, we got to, if I come in here and take this thing over and jack the entry fee up and go to a 2-day, we'll have no tournament. And so we went with the 2-day or the 1-day for a while. Then we did the option day 2. And then last year, after the wind and all the nastiness, I just decided that, you know what, let's go 2-day. Now is the time. We were getting about 100 boats each day or for both days. So I said, you know what, we're probably going to take a little setback, but we're going to go to a 2-day and we'll see how it goes. And I think it went well. I mean, Sunday morning was gorgeous. Sunday afternoon sucked. Well, Sunday mid-morning, because my forecast was showing winds were coming up at about noon, but the real bad wind was going to be at 5, 6 o'clock at night. And I think it got really bad right away.
It wasn't bad till probably 11.
It's fishable.
Yeah, it was fishable.
Yeah.
So did you catch your fish before the wind came up, or did you catch some after the big wind came up?
We had 4 tagged by 8:30. So
Okay.
we had lucky there. And we had battled for our last one.
It was a grind for our last fish.
Yeah.
Like muskie fishing.
Yeah.
So we'll get into Coledon here, but Glenn, so have you fished tournaments with your son before, or is this the first one you really got into?
No, we did some, back in the day when Coledon was a kid, we used to fish the Gary Allen tournament for years, just the two of us. And we done a few other ones, but not a lot. Last few years, I don't know. We fished last
Cedar
year.
Shore last
year. That's about it.
So
Fished
what
a tournament off and on here and there, but nothing.
What was it like? I mean, winning 2 prior, now winning your third one with your son. Was there a little different emotion there with?
Yeah, it was. We had a really nice bag on day 1. The only thing we regret was wish we'd have took a picture with our fish, Just because that would have been a cool memory to always look back at.
We've talked about that, yeah.
That's going to be a new feature of every tournament is make sure we're getting pictures there.
Right.
We need one more person to take pictures.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to. I mean, I know both the other partners, Dave London, Dave B's, great guys, but it's got to mean something just to go out with your son and win the one that, probably is your home big tournament. I guess we can call it that.
It is. It's a big one.
I don't fish many tournaments anymore. I fish a couple a year, and I'm busy doing other stuff, guiding and whatnot. And so, yeah, it is. It's kind of a surreal deal, It's hard to compete in a sense because there's so many great anglers out there. And you can't take anything for granted. I mean, the fishery changes so much from day to day, and when you're guiding's a different mindset than tournament fishing, and it's not an easy thing to win, and it's awesome to win with my son. Might not ever happen again. So I hope it does, but it'd be awesome if it does.
Well, before we dive too much into how your tournament actually went, Coledon, backstory on you. Give us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and how what it means to you to win with Dad.
Yeah, Kurt. I guess I grew up in White Lake, about 30 miles east of the river. I currently live in Chamberlain now, and I guess I'm a full-time guide. Fish from, well, it depends on the winter, January, February, all the way to September. I fished a little longer than Dad does. And then he owns a couple lodges in Kimball, White Lake area with some partners, and we run that till middle December probably. Then we go and get ready for fishing, I guess.
Kick back for a few months because the guide life is not as glamorous as one would think.
Shoot a lot of coyotes.
A lot of hours.
Yeah.
And you guide a lot for Gary Allen, don't you?
Yeah. Yep.
That's our fishing we both do.
Okay.
I've worked with Gary for 21, 22 years, and he's a great guy. Him and Mike both, and
we got a good thing going with them guys.
Them guys are great guys.
They keep us real busy.
Good people working for them, and we just work for them.
You guys didn't get to catch our midday show with Gary Allen because you were too busy weighing 17 pounds on day 1. But we got Gary to come in the studio. Chasen had him in there for an hour, and I kind of threw a curveball at Chasen at last minute. I'm like, I got too much to do. You swing with Gary. He was nervous, but it literally was. It was, to me, it was gold because I knew if I got in there, it was just going to interrupt the show because the knowledge in Gary's head is just incredible about that fishery. And I got to tell you one thing, the guy is a promoting genius.
Yeah.
I bet you if you could do a drinking game with how many times he says Lake Francis Case, Chamberlain, South Dakota. And if you can make it through the hour, you're a rock star.
He's a good
You
speaker.
could tell
Does a good job.
You could tell he talks to people, because he and I had never met. I met him a few years ago, but I stayed there in one of his rooms and whatever, you talk to him, but then to sit down and have a conversation with a guy for an hour in front of a camera on, let's just call it live TV. I mean, he went with it, and he just amazed me. It was so cool.
Yeah.
And we did tap on the dredge hole, by the way. We got about 7 minutes on that one.
Yeah.
So Saturday morning, you guys get up. Obviously, you guys are both guiding down there quite a bit. What was it? Did you have a game plan going into it, know what to do? Or was it like, we're going to go this way, and if it doesn't work, or like, go through your tournament with us?
Yeah, we had a game plan. Never know if it's going to work, obviously. I mean, especially during the spawn or pre-spawn, fish are fickle and they change. Even this year, all year, if you might have whacked them 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, next morning, you might be starting from scratch and just searching again. So it's like, you can't ever take anything for granted, like I said earlier. But we went out, we got some good bites right away in the morning. They seemed to be biting right away in one of our primary spots. And then they quit, and we scrambled a little bit, caught a few fish in a few other spots. But, sometimes things just work out, and we got a couple of the right bites. Coledon caught the 2 big ones for the day. And just thank God he was in the boat and had the right stuff on when they wanted to bite.
Well,
do you dare tell us what the right stuff was?
Probably not.
Well, I'll tell you this.
One was a minnow. Yeah.
We had to have the right color jig on for the overs. It's been like that all year for us consistently between him and I. It was one color that was, when you got bit, it was usually a 21 plus.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I mean,
for us.
You boys put up a Lake Oahe tournament bag day one. I mean, 17 pounds, people would be happy as all get out on Lake Oahe with 17 pounds in the Gov Cup. That's going to set you up pretty nice. I mean, you're usually at 17 to 20 pounds in the Gov Cup. But you guys weighed in after Tanner Thompson mowed and Derek Meskey with an 851. And I weighed your bag and it was 17. And I go, do you got a big fish? And Coledon looks at me and goes, just 2 5-pounders.
I didn't mean to take it, you know what I mean? It wasn't no 8.5 pounds.
Right. No, yeah.
But we figured there was going to be an 8.5 or 2 pound, because I pre-fished for 2 weeks hard every day in snow blizzards. I mean, I was out there all the time, and we hooked. Well, the day before the tournament, I hooked one just shy of 9.
That's what you were saying. Yeah, you had. And I talked to several guys that said pre-fish actually went really, really well. Mm-hmm. And we had the fishery biologist on talking about Francis Case, and everybody knows it's no secret. Last year, Francis Case looked terrible. I mean, but these fish, I mean, and I shouldn't say terrible, but the fish catch rate was not what everybody's used to in Chamberlain. And the zebra mussels may play a factor, whatever's going on down there, but the fish are healthy in that system.
Last year, our fishing early was good again, but then when they come for that, post-spawn bite, it just had a real short window, and it just quit fast. And I'm sure a lot of it is zebra mussels because the water's so much clearer, and them fish aren't in them shallow spots unless the wind blows. You just don't catch them. Like you might mark them, but boy, getting them to bite is another thing now compared to what it used to be 3-4 years ago.
Well, and I talked to another guy Monday or Tuesday, and he was telling me that like they had an inside spot that they went in on, and Saturday they struggled, but Sunday they got their fish. I mean, they had a top 5 bag on Sunday in shallow, but I think that's due to wind. I mean, because people are telling me 19 foot of water is gin clear.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
How we fish as we move forward.
Certain areas on the river,
for sure.
You can go into 14 foot and you can see your jig on the bottom. You know what I mean?
No kidding.
There's not been
But no
any wind with no wind for a day or two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Well, then the spawn progressed on Saturday rather rapidly in some areas of the lake as well. We heard so, that changes things. And evidenced by the bags that were weighed on Sunday. Guys that had double-digit bags came in with lighter bags. It's just the way it was, and just the way they fished. You obviously know that body of water. And you had enough spots, you had enough waypoints to get you, or mental points to get you the big fish.
We didn't get bit a lot, but we caught a few of we never had any overs. We just had nice slots day 2, and it was enough. Our goal was 12 pounds, 12 and a half pounds day 2. The weights are usually always down on day 2, Sunday, not running as much water, so you hope somebody could still stick a good fish or two, but historically, it's never the same weights as it is on day 1.
Well,
we call it the 80-20 because 80% will fall, 20% will rise.
Right.
That's generally the rule of thumb in a tournament is 80% of the top will fall down. Only 20 of them are going to stay consistently in there. And generally it's kind of what we've seen, and, not giving away too much stuff, but a lot of the guys that were cashed a check were pretty close to you, I'm guessing, on Sunday.
Yeah, we've seen a few. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know where second place was, but they had a program going because they had 2 very good bags back-to-back day. You know what I mean? They were on a good bite.
Them Decker boys they are a force to be reckoned with because they fished. They literally fish every event we put on for like the last 3 years. And every year they're just gradually,
better and better.
They're both fishing the NWT this next week in Pier, and it's going to be hilarious because they got a Lund Alaskan and a nice Ranger, and we were joking that it's going to be hilarious when the co-angler walks down and sees Dalton sitting there in the tanned out Lund Alaskan and going, "What am I getting myself into?" and not realizing he's probably stepping into one of the best fishermen in the area's boat.
Right.
He's not there. I was like. We just want your photo. We want the photo of the co-angler when he draws you to walk to the dock in the morning and goes, "I'm getting in this thing." Them two hit it hard, but you guys had a heck of a couple days. Day 1, obviously, that's a dream bag down there. 17 pounds is a dream bag on Francis Case, and
it is.
You can't ask for much more than that down there. If you'd have stuck an 8-pounder, you'd hit that 20 pound mark. But Glenn, how many tournaments have you seen a 20-pound 5-fish bag in Chamberlain?
Hardly. I can count them on one hand. I'll tell you that. Maybe one.
I wasn't expecting 17 pounds on day 1. Honestly, I was 20 to 24 pounds to win it because I thought we were looking at skinny males because the spawn was done and we were in a post-spawn period. But Kurt had 28. Yeah, right. Yeah. Kurt had 30. What did you have, Kurt? 28 to 32. Gary said 30, 33.
I said 15 pounds a day.
Yeah.
Was my guess. And then I added some gap in there for myself. But, I was right on that 15 pounds a day. I didn't think I'd be that close to, but I knew that's probably what it would take from seeing your guys' fish, on social media prior to the event, hearing from guys on what the fish looked like. 19 inches, 3.5 pounds is just incredible. Them fish are just incredibly healthy down there.
Yeah. They look like Hawaii fish, really.
They do.
Level ones, they do.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. I don't know what it is about that year class, that 19-inch that weighs, 2.5 to 3.5 pounds. That's just a big 19-inch fish.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gorgeous.
It's fun to see them. It's fun to catch them. It's fun to see them. It's fun to let them go and let them swim for another day.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the benefit of all the fish we caught. We released all of them, and we ended up with 12 dead fish in 2 days out of all the fish weighed in. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hands off to the anglers for taking care of their fish on the water. We have them for a short period of time. I tell everybody a lot of it is the boat, what they do in the boats to keep them fish alive. And I think we had one official dead one coming to the scale that was just dead. But I mean, that could be a deep hooked hook.
Right.
There's a number of things. You're going to have a mortality rate, but out of all the fish we caught, 12 didn't make it back into the lake.
You can't complain about that. Nobody can.
No. And the biologists they just don't think it's detrimental to lose those fish anyway.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah, right. And I guess, I'm not that smart. So you got to believe
I'm
what
not a
Finn's telling those
biologist,
guys.
but I got some different thoughts, but I'm not going to share them on this. But I'd love more fish get released that are bigger, the spawning female.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Chasen said earlier this year, he goes, I think there should be a law that every female has to go back from this date to this date, and the biologist goes, that's great. You can tell in the springtime, but he goes, I can't even tell you without opening them up what it is most of the year,
Right.
so, sexing
males are even very healthy right now. I mean, they're just
full
of fat.
Yeah. A lot of times you see skinny males, but I didn't see, skinny males. They come down and always collect male saugers during that event. And that was the thing that kind of surprised me because we usually see a ton of saugers and they looked for 15. I think what do you end up with 9?
I think so. 9 or 10.
Wow.
There's a big congratulations from Tom Wynn. So he wants to know if you took THU to learn your forward facing sonar to catch those fish pitching. I bet is what he really wants to know.
We probably should.
Yeah, I think everybody should.
That was the plan all weekend. You guys just pitched jigs the entire weekend, or did you do any other tactics? And
we pitched jigs. That's all we did, in several spots. But yeah, that's all we did.
So
you
wouldn't give up the color jig you were using. Was it anything other than black or olive?
Because that's what Tom would.
Yeah, it was other. It was outside of that.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I figured.
It's probably more just our own little thing than not.
It might be a confidence deal, but
hey. I firmly believe my old man, Glenn, you knew him very well. My old man used to say with crankbaits, like, do you really think that walleye can go, oh, there's a blue one at 3 miles an hour?
Right.
Do you really think they're swimming back there going, I'm not eating the pink one. Oh, there's a blue one. I'm going to go get that one. He's like, how do they know at 3 miles an hour? He goes, we buy baits for our confidence and what we like, and
good point.
But we all buy into it. The year I went and fished NTC in Mobridge, we had to have purple. We caught most of our fish on purple, so we bought every purple bait we could have,
Yeah, most of them baits are made to catch fishermen, not fish.
Yeah,
exactly. No Although I'll give you the purple hair jig thing has been hot for quite a few guys, including Tom Boley. That wasn't it? Didn't Nitties win the Minnesota Tournament Trail on hair
jigs? Do you guys play with hair jigs down? Is that a game for you down there, or is it just
a little bit? Probably not as much as we should, but some.
I casted it a little bit. Yep.
Yeah, he casted it in the tournament a little bit.
Quite a few throws.
And so you guys were, I know, talking to you afterwards, you were saying it was pretty, like your bites, you weren't getting a lot of bites, at least on Sunday.
Saturday.
So you weren't going through hundreds of fish a day. It was a pretty fickle bite.
Yeah. We were just targeting certain areas where we hoped we could catch some better fish and, get the right bites. We weren't trying to fish some of them areas where a lot of them smaller fish are staging and, we got the right bites. That's all it amounts to,
You didn't miss many of them.
Could have been any of the guys right beside us. There was a lot of good fishermen we fished next to. Any one of them could have had the bites we had. We were just lucky enough that day to get them bites.
And I tell everybody, Chris Haynes a couple years ago, he was a bridesmaid in about every event there was. And I said, dude, when it's your time, and you can almost do nothing wrong. And then he goes out and wins the Gov Cup within the year or 2 years, whatever it was. He looked at me and he goes, you're 100% correct. Today just went the way it was supposed to. The tournament went the way it was supposed to. And I said, I'm a firm believer in that. I mean, you can be on in practice or you can have the most terrible practice you've ever had, and come tournament day, when it's your day, it's your day.
Yep, there's no doubt about that. And you kind of get on a little roll too, and you get some momentum, and things are working or clicking for you. And 1 year, then the next 6 years, you can't make any right decisions. That's just tournament fishing.
So on day one, did your big fish come right away, or was it just kind of a like throughout the day type of thing?
First one came early. Last one came at 2:30. So it was a lucky fish to see him at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Right. In clear water.
Finish that cast. We need to go.
One more cast scenario.
Yeah. And there she was. So yeah, worked out nice.
There's a video of one of the MLF fishermen, like, because they don't have to be back in, but they got to be at the end of their practice. And this guy like rips in his boat, drops his trolling motor, and the judge is like, "You have like 40 seconds." And he casts and sets a hook on like a 9-pounder, and he gets it in the boat, and they're like, "Time," and he's like, "Never give up." Like,
yeah,
wow,
that's awesome.
So I mean, them fish sometimes come in right at the right moment, and so when you got out there Sunday, 17 pounds, there's a little bit of pressure. Coledon, how'd you sleep Saturday night? Was it nerve-wracking knowing that I got a target on my back for tomorrow?
Very much, Kurt. It was very nerve-wracking in the morning.
I would ask Glenn that, but he's been there a time or two, but I'm sure it wasn't easy, But
our whole goal was to hopefully come in with 12 pounds, and I guess at the end of the day, it was what it was. And, it was just things just started clicking right out of the gate. I mean, it happened, kind of just like you couldn't do nothing wrong. The fish we hooked were all 19.5 and 19 3/4 inch just pre-spawns, and it was just
the fish
so
were
there
looking
was no
for.
real thinking. They got in the boat, throw a tag in them, call it good.
Yeah,
right.
Because we didn't know what was going to happen with the wind, especially with a jig rod in your hand. We just didn't know. But then after that, it was tough to get that last one. Very.
So going into the tournament, what was your kind of in your head set weight? Did you think that we need this a day?
Well, prior to this, this is a tough date just because you're looking at the spawn, and things change, things just really, the fish start moving. They might get a little lockjaw. The temperatures probably warmed up too fast. I was really worried about that. We got that 70-degree temperatures. You have some fish holding. Are they going to leave? Are they going to move on you? Are they going to go blow their eggs? And that was probably my biggest fear, is the temperature or anything. If they would have held, I was hoping we could catch 14, 15 pounds. I mean, that's what you hope, but in reality, it might only been 10, 11, 12 too, I mean, you still get them bites at the end of the day. You can always talk the talk, but you still got to catch the fish. They still got to bite when you're there.
But you usually go into a term with the mindset of like, I'm not keeping anything under 17. I need 13 pounds to go.
We were looking at 2.5. We were hoping to get a 2 to 4, 2.5 pound slots was our goal, and then hoping to get an over 2 if we were lucky. That was our goal as far as that for slots. 2.3 to 2.5 probably.
And that, I mean, that down there, like way the fish are looking, that could be a 16 incher, or that could have been a 19 incher at that 2.5.
Yeah, about a 17 incher today, or 17
3/4 and weighed 254.
Yeah, I mean,
really,
it was
them fish are just healthy. One guy, I don't remember what his fish was. It was an under, and I looked in there, and I'm like, the thing was just round, and I'm like, it's a football. And it was towards the end of the weigh-in or beginning of the weigh-in, and we weighed it, and I can't remember what it weighed, but I think that one almost hit 4 pounds for like a 19 3/4 inch fish. And I'm like,
I seen what? Here, I don't doubt that at all. I mean, there's fish that are just they're obese. They just unreal.
I mean, that thing was as wide as it was long. I mean, I looked down that bag, and I'm like, what the? It looked like Chasen's fish from this fall that were hunchbacked and all weird. I mean,
right.
Like when you were fishing your nuclear waste pond.
Right on. Hey, nothing wrong with catching a hunchback. If you can make target walleye with a fish, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not going to win a tournament, so.
You don't need any overs on Lake Francis Case if you can get unders like that.
Yeah. I mean, and that honestly probably threw a different mentality into the game of, if the unders are weighing this, do we really? I mean, is the overs, because the overs aren't, from what I'm hearing though, you guys got a great year class of that 19 to 23 inch fish down there. And I mean, you don't look at like Lake Oahe, Gov Cup. If you don't bring in a 26, 226s, you're probably not going to be you're not winning the tournament. Down there, them slots are weighing what some of the big fish usually weigh down there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you get the right one. I mean, you're just seeing less and less of them right now, but yeah, definitely some of them there, no doubt.
So your 2 5-pounders on day one, how long were they?
23, both of them.
Identical fish.
23-inch fish going 5 pounds. I mean, that just tells you how healthy that system is. And it's kind of crazy because Sharp right now, from what I'm hearing, is definitely not that healthy. So we got Oahe healthy, Francis Case healthy, the river and the body of water in between is not that healthy.
I'm not a biologist, but what I'm hearing, like on the bottom end of the reservoir, is a lot of these guys, we have had these 2 open winters, and it sounds like a lot of shad wintered through the winter.
Yeah.
And they were having a hard time catching fish. They could mark them all day. And, and when they do catch the few they catch, they're puking up shad and smelt and everything else. They're so there's a lot of bait in the system. So
do you guys carry a lot of smelt down there?
We don't. I wish we'd seen more, but I mean, we've seen a little bit more here in the last couple of years than we have. I'm sure they're coming out of Oahe, I suppose, through the dams.
But you got, I mean, so like Sharp doesn't get that deep. It can't hold them smelt but you guys got deep enough holes that can kind of hold some smelt down there.
Yeah. And I don't know nothing about it. I don't live down on that end of the reservoir. I just hear people down there, but I know some guys have caught some fish this winter and they've seen some smelt get puked up on the ice by some fish down there. So obviously there's some down there,
Yeah.
But they said there was a shad everywhere in the ice and everything down there.
Really?
Yep. So that's good for the reservoir. There's just a lot of feed out there, obviously.
Yeah.
That's why the biting windows are so tight.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically bite windows. You got to capitalize when they decide to feed because you can mark the heck out of them. Same as last summer, when the bite went to heck on Francis Case, you could sure find them. The boy getting a bite was another story.
They didn't have to look at the way they look.
They didn't have to. Yeah.
I mean, how do you compete with an artificial thing in the water when there's tons of are you going to go eat a broccoli sandwich when there's ribeyes laying around? I'm not.
A broccoli sandwich? You mean peanut butter and bologna?
Peanut butter and bologna. Sorry, peanut butter and bologna sandwich. That it probably tastes the same. I'd have to assume. His favorite boat snack is a peanut butter and bologna sandwich.
Sticks to the roof of your mouth and
it's not good. He'll probably try to convince you one day to eat one. It's not good.
They're delicious.
Scott,
we
I was
talked
going to
about
bring that up a little
earlier.
later. So Scott posted there's a major boat wreck in MLF today. Yeah, there's some. I've been reading some stuff on it. Doesn't look good from down in Georgia this week. Sounds like unfortunately during the MLF, angler ran into some fog, ended up hitting a guide boat. Sounds like one fatality currently. So I'm sure if you follow along with MLF, you'll see some more of that. But pretty sad deal, and nobody wants to see that anywhere. So a fog. I mean, we talked about it pre-show. We mentioned it to you guys, and that happened in Chamberlain. Not a fatality, but NWT. 2 years ago got big. I think it was rain. Wasn't it a big rainstorm?
It was heavy rain.
The angler, the camera boat collided with an angler or something. So it happens. Somebody said it's up to 3 fatalities. I haven't heard that yet.
Wow.
What unfortunate, sad deal there, but let's get back to some happier news. Yeah, you guys got it done. So what's next?
Just work.
Just back to guiding?
Yep.
You're not going to run up this next weekend and see us on Sharp and see if you can get it done there?
Oh, we're booked. Sorry. Would love to. Trust me, I would love to. Got to pay.
It's going to be a
Next time
fun.
I'll see you, Kurt, is the Gov Cup.
Yeah, I know. We talked about you're pretty excited about the old Gov Cup for you. So, Glenn, I think you fished Gov Cup years ago, didn't you?
Off and on. Last year, I fished it with me and Dave Bees.
That's right. You and Dave Bees came up and fished it last year. So,
love that body of water. I'd love to make it up there more often, but not.
And that guiding full time makes it tough to get away when there's a guaranteed check waiting for you.
Yep, that's for
Right.
sure.
You know, and Gary, what was he saying that day during the tournament? He had 12 guides out on Saturday.
Probably we had a bunch of them.
It was a ton.
You know, and
and plus all of you guys that were fishing the tournament.
Yeah, there was a bunch of us that weren't there,
Yeah.
a bunch of regulars, that weren't guiding.
so, you know, Saturday down there was literally like a Gov Cup day, but 20 degrees cooler, but it was 70 degrees, 70 plus degrees, flat calm. I'm like, this is Gov Cup, other than it should be 114 like it is in the Gov Cup when it gets that way.
Flies biting.
Yeah, biting flies.
Yeah.
I got the secret for that. I'll share you in after the show. I'll tell you. I'll send you a text on what I use, and it works. It keeps the flies from biting you.
Good.
And so you got to buy a 5-gallon pail of it, and it's not cheap, but it's worth it.
Sounds like it. 'Cause that's miserable.
So yeah, do you guys get those terrible flies down there too?
At times, yep. At times.
I didn't know flies could have piranha teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta wear long socks.
bleed.
So obviously planning on fishing it again next year.
Yeah. That's the plan. I mean, it's just that time of the year where a guy can still get away and do a little bit of something.
Yeah, before you get into full swing, you guys will probably. I mean, obviously you're starting to ramp up. We had an earlier spring than normal. When do you guys usually kick off heavy in the fishing guiding? Is that the mid-April?
Well, I mean, March, April's busy, but it's just always weather dependent. We don't really get going 7 days a week, probably till May, early May, just because the weather's a little more consistent. Probably 10th of May before it really gets going hard, which is fine. Guy needs to have a day off once in a while here and there. So
yeah.
True.
Yeah,
Weather's been inconsistent this year.
Well, It was so nice not having to sweat and panic and chainsaw ice like we did 3 years ago down there.
Yeah, sure. Well, the last 2 years we've had nice springs.
Yes. I'm due for a bad one. I know that. So, that 3 years ago was nice, but the ice was so thick coming into it that, there was 24 inches of ice in Cedar Shore Bay the week prior to the tournament. And everybody's telling me you're not going to make it. And we made it, but it took a lot of work, a whole day of Saturday of pumping water and chainsawing, and we got that bay open.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing you guys got that done.
Yeah, and then we had Brad Shipper in there doing a boat rodeo with his new boat and then parking it on the ice and blowing the bay out. It was all hands on deck to get that thing open, but we got her open and got her going. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, well, guys, we've had you on for about 40 minutes now. Anybody you guys want to do a shout out to that we didn't get to on stage? We took some pictures with the family. It was great seeing Ann show up. She started that tournament. That was pretty awesome to see her. I hadn't seen her in 15 plus years.
Yeah, no, she's always a supporter of us. They're just good family friends, and they're a lot of fun. And yeah, she's seen that we were up towards the top, so she was going to make sure she came back over to hang out and visit with you guys and us, and it was fun. No, only shout out I got is just any of the friends and family I've fished with in the past. I want to thank them. Probably wouldn't be here today without them,
That's awesome.
I would agree, and my wife for putting up with me because I spend a lot of hours from sun up to sundown.
Good catch there. Good catch. We almost said goodbye without making. Whoops.
My wife's very good at letting me.
It must be the name. Because I got a pretty good wife too.
Yeah, it is the name. Yeah, they got the exact same maiden name.
Yeah, did you know that? Chasen? Glenn comes with me and goes, our wives have the same maiden name spelt the same way.
Yep.
Really?
It was.
Yeah.
Did not know it.
Yeah, so another comment here. Pitlick says, Matty Lyons ended up third in Cedar Shore, third in Pike Masters, and he doesn't want you to clean the smallies over 15 inches.
They're not good eating.
No, anyway. Didn't that say 15
anyways?
The smaller ones are better eating ones.
That's funny.
Do you guys have the catfish problem down there we have up on Hawaii?
I don't know if that's a problem. We catch some catfish, but not probably like you guys do. I know it is. It's an issue up there, isn't it?
Yeah, they're down deep breeding like crazy.
Me to run run a couple catfish tournaments where we keep everything, and it's like
I don't
we
know if
can
you're
do
gonna put
that.
a tent, though.
Back in the day, we John Brox used to have Trash Masters, and it was the most pounds to win the thing. And I guess guys would run up to the Cheyenne and fill a 55-gallon barrel full of white bass, and then they come in with all these catfish. And I think we got to bring back a Trash Masters and just see what we can get done.
Yeah, sounds like a hell of a good time. Good party there.
I just don't want to clean them all.
No, I wouldn't either.
I don't want to touch them. About the only good thing about a catfish is it just proves that you know how to tie a uni knot that'll hold.
Yeah.
Mike's, there must be a story behind Coledon's catfish love.
I don't let them in my boat. I can't stand them.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. No,
I need
hold them
roll
over the
around.
edge. Yep.
I'd rather cut the line than grab them and put them in my boat.
Yeah, I hate that slimy crap on the line. You go to wring it off, and it just
It ruins my morning if that's the first or two, one or two fish of the day. I know that.
When I fished at NTC, I was with Brian Woodward from Wyoming, and we pull up on Moose Flats, and he's like, we're struggling practice. And he goes, I'm going to go the Wyoming way. I'm going to throw a jig and a crawler. And I said, all you're going to do is catch catfish. And he's like, nope, we do it all the time in Wyoming. And he drops it over. It wasn't even a minute later, and he's got like a 10-pound catfish on. And I'm like, told you. He's like, we don't even have these things in Wyoming.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we have a severe catfish problem on Oahe. Maybe we'll just bring some down to you guys so you can have the same love we do
We got
for
our
them.
fair. We got plenty of them. We don't need any.
Well, guys,
they're just so damn big up there. I mean, I had 3 15-pounders, one after another, and I thought at least one of them was a 10-pound walleye. But
there's nothing worse than getting one on a jig wrap and they don't roll until they get right by the boat, and you're like,
you think it's the next level walleye? There's no.
yeah, right.
Yeah. We were doing a thing for Cheyenne Ridge, a little photo shoot, and we slid out in this hump. There was a big mark. I dropped down, smack. There it was. It never rolled. And just as getting to the boat, I'm like, and the whole time, I'm like, catfish, walleye, catfish, walleye. It gets right next to the boat. My buddy goes to net it. We say it right at the same time, catfish, because it rolled just as it was coming to the net. And it was like a 15-pound catfish.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? I thought I had a 10+ pound walleye on, and nope, just a big old
sport
cat.
fish. They really fight, though. I mean, they are.
Oh
fighting.
Oh yeah, they're fun to catch, really, until
are.
you get them to the surface and have to deal with that garbage.
Right.
Well, you
That's
guys
why I
got
can't understand why
paddlefish
Brad
down
puts
there.
himself through that every day.
We do. We got paddle. I lost a rod to a paddlefish last week. I was
Oh,
pulling
really?
it must have been Tuesday, a week ago Tuesday. Yep, and paddlefish, they'll head sideways, and you hook them on something. All of a sudden, went to grab the rod, and it was going off, and he went sideways, and the rod just took out like a rocket right off the side of the damn boat.
Wow.
Either he didn't have enough line in his reel, or his drag was too tight.
No, it just,
Oh, wasn't it Chasen? Wasn't it Craig Euler and Ryan Kavanaugh caught one pulling cranks on a 4-foot stubby?
Yeah.
They said it was a ride, and I said, yeah, that's probably pretty good. But 3 years ago in the Gov Cup, McCumsey caught one on 6-pound test jig wrap and caught a paddlefish on Oahe. And McCumsey doesn't run drag, so he back reels. And the fish took off to the side, and he had to chase it down with his trolling motor, and they chased it back this way. My check boat was right beside him, got all the pictures and video of it, and they got up to the boat, and they couldn't even lift it in.
yeah.
So, well, guys, it's been great having you on. I appreciate it. Congratulations on the victory. Nobody can ever take it from you. That's a pretty awesome thing for a father and son to get done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kurt.
Congrats, fellas.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. Have a great
Colton,
night.
we'll see you at the Gov Cup. Glenn, good luck, guys. Good luck the rest of your guiding.
Yep,
Take care.
See you then.
See
All
you.
right. Take care.
Thanks.